What is good, Whisper Nation? Welcome back to the channel, the Fantasy Whispers. I'm your boy, Johnny Game Time Hicks. I'm flying solo today. I'm not gonna lie. I'm here with my best friends talking fantasy football, but not today. Today they are off to our fantasy football league draft, league of record draft. So it's just your boy. Your boy had to take care of the baby. Wife returns to work, so unfortunately I had to miss out on those festivities. I'll be with the draft, but they are off in California, hopefully having a great time, hopefully having a beer. But we are here talking fantasy like usual on the Fantasy Whispers channel. If you like fantasy football, if you like that week one feeling going all season long, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you let us know where you're coming from, Whisper Nation. I'd love to shout you out on the show. Speaking of which, we've got a bunch of new people to the show, new members of Whisper Nation. I will shout out here just shortly. But first, I have to do my contractual obligation to say that this is episode 309, and we are going to be doing some of my bigger, bold takes for the 2022 fantasy football season. Now, does this mean these takes are going to absolutely come true? Absolutely not. Most likely, they won't. Well, they could. But I am going to give my five biggest bold takes for this season. I've got a couple of extra bold takes that the guys sent my way, so I will talk about that. I won't dive into them too much because they are not my bold takes, but I will throw them out there. Let us know in the comments what your bold takes are for this 2022 season. I know you guys have been shouting them out recently in the comments, so it'll be a good live show today. Hopefully, my internet connection can stay stable. I apologize. It's been a little unstable so far. So hopefully we can get through the show and get to, you have any questions, any sit starts, we can already start diving into that if you need. So put those in the chat. Let me know where you're coming from. But first, I got to say, support for TFW Live is brought to you by none other than Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Your boy uses all the time. It's one of my favorite products. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels and the rest of your body. Manscaped's Performance Package is the ultimate hygiene bundle. You can join the 6 million men who, including yourself, including your boy here, 6 million men worldwide who have trusted Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. You get 20% off and free shipping worldwide, prestige worldwide shipping with the code TFWMAN at manscaped.com. Once again, that is 20% off and free shipping worldwide with the code TFWMAN. Also does help support the channel. Want to throw that in there. So if you want to help out your boys, here's another way to help out the channel, us get more fantasy football content out to you, Whisper Nation. So hit up that Manscaped. I'm telling you, it's a great offer. I use it all the time. My wife loves it. Everyone loves it. Listen, we can all use a little bit more grooming below the belt. Let's just be honest. But that's not why we're talking today. We are talking because we got some bold takes that I just got to spit out. I got to let you know, Whisper Nation, before the season starts, hey, you might want to really consider picking up some of these guys because I think they're going to have a mega boss year. But first, I do want to give a shout out to all of our YouTube members that help support the show through a monthly contribution. Those members include Pizza Belly, Don Caples, Bailey, Kevin, Nick, Brett Zabo, John Credit, Eric, Donnie, Jersey J, and Hannibal. And if you would like to join our fastest growing list of YouTube members, click the join button next to the video right now, and you too will get a shout out for helping support the channel. All right, Whisper Nation, wanted to jump in here because we've got a big list of mega bold predictions here. Now, you guys are probably going to come after me with some heat. I get it. But if you want to put down your bold take, put it in the comments right now. We'd love to flash them up on the screen. I'd love to talk to you about it, Whisper Nation. And if you want to join Whisper Nation, one of the fastest growing channels for fantasy football, we're just looking for one new subscriber on every single stream. Could be you. Just hit that subscribe button right now and join and win your leagues. That's what we're doing here. The league is about to start. We are 1 week away from football actually counting, your fantasy football stats actually counting, and we are 1 week away from that championship run starting. So make sure you're hitting that subscribe so that way you get all the best info from your boys here at the Fantasy Whispers. All right. Next up on the docket, we got some news that we need to go over. Some important stuff that has been happening around the league. And first up on that news and information, let me get a little shout out. I got a bunch of comments going here. Boy Donnie, Jersey J. Oh, am I frozen? No. Dude, he's done. Worst pick in fantasy football. Oh, Donnie's throwing out some right here. Here we go. Hey, Donnie. Donnie also, he has to do the PFF. He has to do his PFF stuff. So he won't be able to join today either. Shout out to Donnie. But he's joining us in the watch party. So I appreciate that. All right. First up, we got Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders, hamstring, resumed practice Thursday. Sanders has been sidelined the past 2 weeks, but has returned to practice. This puts him right back on track to be ready for week 1 against the Lions. Now, there was some more information that came out today. The Philadelphia Eagles did claim Trey Sermon from the 49ers. They had released him. They had cut him after drafting him last year in the 3rd round. And they said, nope, you're out of here, dude. We got TDP. We've got better running backs. So you're out, LaFleur. And the Philadelphia Eagles have claimed Trey Sermon. So that is interesting. This certainly does not bode well for Miles Sanders. We have been telling people, hey, stay away from Miles Sanders this year. He has even alluded to it himself, saying, hey, don't draft me because the position that I am in does not allow me to be a mega boss in fantasy football. So Miles Sanders was an early target for me early in the season, but now, or in the offseason, I should say. But now, as we've gotten closer and closer, more information has come out. And obviously, getting Trey Sermon over there to Philadelphia does not bode well for the outlook of Miles Sanders. If anything, makes it go down even more. What does this do for this whole backfield? I think Gainwell is still the guy that I would probably want in this backfield. I don't think you should completely stay away from it. Most people say, oh, it's too ugly. It's hideous. I want to stay away from it and altogether. I don't even want to deal with that. I want to just be done with it. And I get that. If you want to be that type of player and not target something that you don't necessarily feel comfortable targeting, I get it. In some cases, I'm with you. However, what we do find in fantasy football is those are the exact backfields you do want to target, because if you hit the nail on the head, then you end up getting a very good value for that running back. So for me in this backfield, I do think that they are going to run the ball. I think that Gainwell is the guy that I want in this backfield. I think his ADP is right, and his ADP might even come down a little bit further from his 11th round ADP because of the Trey Sermon getting drafted there. Ultimately, I think Trey Sermon could end up being the goal line back. He's a bigger back, a goal line type back. That's what the 49ers kind of wanted him to be for them, right? That's why when it didn't work out, they switched over to Debo because he was more of that power kind of runner for them. So I do think that Sermon down the line, am I drafting him? No. But do I think he'll probably make some waiver wire columns this season? I do think that we'll probably be talking about Trey Sermon on some waiver wires columns, especially when there's bye weeks. So once again, not really drafting Trey Sermon with this news, but he is on my radar. And luckily your boy did draft him in the 16 teamer of our league, our listener league. And so I'm hanging on to him because I do have Gainwell. So feeling pretty good about that one. Kenny G, next up piece of news. This is not good at all. I was kind of beating the drum a little bit for Kenny G just because the ADP was so far down. But I've kind of I kind of like other pieces in this New York Giants offense more, Wan'Dale and Toney. I like a little bit more than Kenny G just because, reports have been god awful for Kenny G. Listen to this. ESPN Jordan Ronan, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, reports that wide receiver Kenny G has been running, quote unquote, has been running routes this summer with the stiffness of a mannequin, end quote. That does not bode well. We do not like our number one wide receivers running routes like a mannequin. I appreciate the honesty, but that's not something you want to hear. So Kenny G, once again, falling deeper and deeper in drafts. At this point in this stage, I am not really sure what his actual ceiling could be, or do I feel confident in that? Like I said, I would rather take that draft capital now and either go for the dart throw in Toney because he has massive upside, or even Wan'Dale. I think people aren't really drafting him at this point. I think Wan'Dale could be one of those early waiver wire guys that we'll be writing about because Wan'Dale is going to play that slot role. So I think that Wan'Dale is probably going to be the one that you're going to want Giants for pass catching. Sounds gross, sounds hideous, I know. So if you want to stay away from it, I totally get it. It's not one of my bold takes, but it could be because it was almost Austin had thrown that one out. I will little preface here or a little foreshadow for our main show. Excuse me. Is no Austin wrote that no New York Giants wide receiver will finish within the top 24. Certainly could be possible. Certainly is some room for at least one, potentially if they can stay healthy, like a Wan'Dale or a Toney. Those two guys have more massive upside to me than Kenny G at this point. Next piece of news, The Athletic, Doug Haller reports that running back Eno Benjamin may have secured the Cardinals' RB2 running back job. He notes that Cardinals appeared to be signing Darrell Williams as a replacement for the Chase Edmonds, but Williams may have lost the number 2 job to Eno. Saying the Cardinals' 7th round pick in 2020 has forced the organization to keep him, and he's looked good. A lot of reports that I've heard. Obviously, I live in Arizona, so I get a lot more of Arizona Cardinals coverage or a lot more Arizona insiders than other teams. And everything that I've heard is Eno Benjamin has passed every single test that the Cardinals have thrown at him. They really do like him. They do like him to take that number 2 Chase Edmonds role, which is kind of what I've been saying to people all along when, people were on the James Conner bandwagon for this year. Listen, I think James Conner could be a solid pick. Do I think there's upside to James Conner's pick this year? I don't. I think there's only downside. So for me, I've been staying away from a lot of James Conner this year just because I think that when you draft him in the first 3 rounds, you are banking that he has to hit that. He has to be what he was last year in order to return that, because I don't think there's any other upside. I don't even see him getting, I believe he had 17, don't quote me on that. I believe he had 17 touchdowns total last year. It was a lot. And I don't see him getting to that number, especially with Eno. The running back room is a little bit deeper than it was last year. And then you're looking at Kyler coming back, being healthy. When Kyler is healthy, he runs more. He, especially around the goal line, they'll do the fake, handoff, and then he sneaks out to the side. So with those 2 reasons, that would be why James Conner is down for me. But if you are in a pickle, you need a running back, I still think he's going to be a top 20 running back. I just don't think he'll be as a hit as last year, or you're not going to get the same player that you drafted last year this year. So if you're in that James Conner drafting type, then just be aware that, hey, that pick has very little upside this year compared to other picks like maybe a Travis Etienne going around that same area. I think that Etienne has a higher upside this year than James Conner. Now, is the downside the floor a lot lower than James Conner? Absolutely. But again, you want to balance out your roster. At least I like to balance out my roster between guys that, have a high ceiling or high floor, but also have the potential for a high ceiling, and more than just a potential to reach that ceiling, a pretty good chance to reach that ceiling. So that's why this Eno Benjamin news is a little bit important to me, because I do think Eno Benjamin is a guy that you can kind of throw on the end of your roster, especially if you go like 0 RB or go with the superhero build or the anchor running back build, and you need to like throw these kind of dart throw running backs at the end of your roster. I think Eno Benjamin is being overlooked by a lot of people, and I think that you can plug and play him similar to how you were plugging and playing Chase Edmonds. They use this running backs a lot in Arizona. They're top 5 rushing offense, believe it or not, and they're in scoring position a lot. So Eno Benjamin does have some upside to me. Russell Wilson, got to give it. Oh, just hitting things. We'll do a little golf clap to the side here. Russell Wilson, baby, getting paid by the Denver Broncos. They agreed to a 5-year, $245 million contract extension. The deal includes $165 million guaranteed. Congrats, man. That's a lot of money. And this will keep Wilson in Denver for 7 seasons in total, right? Because he still had a little bit of time left on his current deal. So this adds on to that. And the average annual value of this deal puts him just behind Aaron Rodgers as the 2nd highest paid quarterback in the NFL. This is good news if you're a Denver Broncos fan. You got let's ride. Let's ride. My boys aren't here to make it sound as good for the Russell Wilson let's ride today. But this is definitely good news for Denver Broncos players and people who, drafting. We kind of figured this would happen. This is probably going to keep Russell Wilson in Denver until he retires, would be my guess. All right. Next piece of news. Sony Michelle. Yes, the one and only Sony Michelle, the one that was, why go for Chase Edmonds when you can go further down and get Sony Michelle? Well, he's been cut. He's out. He was out. Got cut by the Dolphins. They had too many people in that running back room and said, Sony, I'm sorry. You're just the odd man out. We got too much talent here. Well, Sony Michelle has now signed with the Chargers, the LA Chargers. What does this mean? Well, this means that my rookie running back pick that I thought was going to surprise some people doesn't look to be coming to fruition. He was already not listed as Isaiah Spiller was already not listed as the RB2 on the depth chart. Does that mean a whole lot right now in the preseason? No, but it certainly doesn't bode well when you're talking about them adding Sony. I do think Sony will then become that RB2 for them if anything happens to Eckler. What does this mean for Eckler? Actually, I think it gives me more confidence in Eckler, if anything, because I think that with Sony Michelle being added, we already know what he can do. We know what his upside is. So bringing him, it just seems more of a backup plan for Eckler, and they seem to be fully invested on Eckler and giving him the ball. Whereas I thought there might be some potential that Isaiah Spiller could end up taking away some of those goal line carries. We do know Austin Eckler scored, 20 rushing or 20 touchdowns, which was a major touchdown progression. Yeah, touchdown progression from the prior year where he only had 3. And that was a bigger point for us last year, was saying, he had a lot. He didn't have a lot of rushing touchdowns last year. And that's why his ADP was in the second round last year. We were heavily targeting Austin Eckler. Well, now he's jumped up. He's a top 5 pick this year. I had my concerns before, right, with the coaching staff doing the things during the draft, things that we were seeing. But now with this kind of signing and them moving back Isaiah Spiller, I definitely think it makes Eckler more of a safer pick. To me, I'm still drafting him at 5. I still would go, CMC. I would probably even draft the wide receivers above Eckler at this point still. But I think, Eckler's relatively safe if you're drafting him. Last bit of a piece of news before we get into our bold takes. 5 bold takes. That's right. I'm going to give you 5 big, bold takes for the season. Doesn't mean they're going to guarantee to come true. Not a Charles Barkley guarantee, but I believe in them. I think that they're pretty solid takes, and I do think that they're going to hit. I do think that they will be, at the end of the day, what ends up happening. But first, let me just finish this off. Kenyon Drake was cut by the Raiders. Picks up, this is like one of the worst landing spots, seriously, you could have asked for if you have J.K. Dobbins or Gus Bus. They go out, sign Kenyon Drake. The Ravens did. As a good move by the Ravens, in my opinion. They use a lot of running backs. That system they're already banged up. J.K. Dobbins not coming in healthy, right? There was a blurb about him as well, potentially with a huge limp. There was a video that surfaced. So he's not 100%, despite what he claims to tweet and all of that stuff. And then with the Baltimore Ravens going out and signing Kenyon Drake, this does make me think that, hey, they are pretty concerned with their running back situation right now. They're going to run the ball a lot, and getting Kenyon Drake, they have Mike Davis still. They did cut our boy Battier, unfortunately, hoping that guy could stick around, but they did cut him. So Kenyon Drake, formerly with the Raiders, signs with the Baltimore Ravens. Not good news if you are a J.K. Dobbins truther right now, or a Gus Edwards truther. I think that they will continue to bring them along slowly, as they should, right? Big injuries to both of those running backs. So now they'll have Mike Davis and Kenyon Drake to kind of carry the load until J.K. Dobbins is a little bit more healthier and 100%, closer to 100% before they bring him back. So bringing down J.K. Dobbins in my rankings. I already wasn't drafting him a whole lot because of where his ADP was, because of the injury concerns, because the fact that Lamar Jackson is their RB1 there. So this just kind of pushes it a little bit to, hey, stay away from J.K. Dobbins. Let somebody else go and draft him. If you are interested, I would wait till after the draft to go and target J.K. Dobbins if you really do believe that J.K. Dobbins is the guy there that you're ultimately going to want, which could be at the end of the year. But again, I wouldn't waste my draft capital now. I would take a risk, draft a couple other players, and then if you do still need a running back, then go and try to target and try to make a trade for whoever has J.K. Dobbins at that point. All right. Now that I've gone through the news, the wonderful, wonderful news, now I get to talk about my bold takes, my 5 bold takes. Tell you a little bit why is it bold, why these takes are bold. And I'll just break down a little bit on why I think that they could happen and actually will happen, and not just me standing up here saying, hey, I think, this player X, Y, and Z is going to be, finish as the number 1 every single time and basically blowing smoke. I'm not going to do that, right? I'm going to give you guys 5 topics that I actually think do have a really good chance to come true. And at the end of the day, they might not seem too bold at the end of this year. But as of right now, they're pretty bold. I would say. So let me know in the comments. I know I'm trying to run everything today, so it's a little bit messy. I appreciate Whisper Nation hanging in there with me. Jersey J coming in here. TDP will be the starter. And yeah, I think that's probably, I like him as a late round dart throw. Our boy Ronald Eno is a good last pick. I agree with that. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. We got a lot of Whisper Nation. Just here we go. Ravens have become an RB recover unit. Basically, that's a well said. They really like Gus Bus. I do think I agree with you, Ronald. Here, the Baltimore Ravens do like Gus Bus, but again, I think the status of where his injury is and where he is at in that recovery is spoken by them signing Kenyon Drake and continuing to keep Mike Davis on this list or on their roster. Okay, 5 bold takes. Here we go. Bold take numero uno. Justin Fields, not Trey Lance, will be the late round quarterback that you want. Okay, so why am I saying this? Well, this is going to be a bold take because I know everyone and their mother is on Trey Lance, and Trey Lance is the new hotness. He's the new Konami cheat code, and I've seen people, taking him real early. And I'm talking like 7th, 8th round, drafting him over guys like Tom Brady, over Kirk Cousins, over Derek Carr, over Justin Fields. And that is the wrong decision. That is the wrong pick, in my opinion. Sure, does Trey Lance have this Konami code upside? Absolutely. He's got legs. He's very athletic. But you need to have other things go your way and not just rely on, he can just run all the time, because guess what happens? If you are a runner and you are not skilled at other aspects of the game, teams will not respect that. They will go out. They are going to try to get him hurt, right? Quarterbacks like that have a difficulty staying healthy for a full 17-week season now. So for me, this also goes to listening to a couple of insiders that had spoken. The other reason I feel so confident in this take is that I'm not even sure Trey Lance even starts all 17 games this year for them. I think because of what they have done with Jimmy Garoppolo and restructuring that contract, keeping him around, allowing him back in the building after they said, no, dude, we got to keep you away because this is bad juju for our team. We can't even allow you to see our games, our game calls and be in the meetings. I think what happened was after they saw those first 3 preseason games and they said, okay, we know that we can't do all of what we want to do and get where we want to go with Trey Lance this season. We need to bring Jimmy G back. Kyle Shanahan reportedly went to the ownership after, or the decision makers after their week 3 game in the preseason. Trey Lance obviously is playing well this entire preseason. See, sorry, my internet cut out there for a second. I could play Lance. We can potentially win some games, but this is reality. We are a potential Super Bowl caliber team. And if I continue to run Lance out there the way that he needs to be ran out there and coached out there and played, then there's a good chance that he is going to get injured. And so that is why they brought back Jimmy G. That was why they restructured. I mean, they did save money with the cap, so that was a smart move by them. But to me, it signifies that they don't have, or at least Kyle Shanahan does not have, all of the confidence that Trey Lance can take that next step. And I think that we're all just expecting it to happen because he sat 1 year behind Jimmy G. And I don't think that's the reality. Looking at this division as well, they've got some very good defenses in this division. So I am not sold that Trey Lance even starts all 17 weeks. So my bold take number 1 is that Justin Fields will be the late round quarterback that you do want. Why? Justin Fields, I understand that last year he didn't look great, but you look at what he's done this preseason, he looked fantastic. He honestly looks just like people thought Trey Lance was going to look. I mean, in his last game against the Cleveland Browns, I understand it's, preseason week 3. You can't put all your chips into it, but Justin Fields went 14 for 16, scored 3 touchdowns against Cleveland Browns, who Cleveland Browns actually have a pretty solid defense. So, yes, I understand it is preseason. I'm not completely saying, oh, that's exactly the quarterback you're going to get every single week, but he is showing the things that we want to see in preseason to take that next step. Then you add on the fact that this team is going in a different direction as far as the offensive play calling. It seems like they are actually scheming for Justin Fields, for the game plan to be benefit what Justin Fields is good at. And I think that they are going to surprise people. Am I saying that the Bears are going to be this, world beater of a team? I don't think so. I don't know if it'll translate necessarily into wins, but I do think that Justin Fields will be that Konami code that, hey, if you miss out on some of these earlier quarterbacks, Justin Fields is the quarterback that I will be targeting late for that swing upside. And even if I draft, like a Kirk Cousins or a Derek Carr or a Tom Brady, I will be taking Justin Fields even in a single quarterback league, which I know is, asinine and preposterous. And how can you do that, Johnny? It's a single quarterback league. Because Justin Fields has league winning upside to me. Everything I've seen, the rushing, the throwing as a thin route tree. He's only got a couple people to throw to, which actually bodes well for fantasy because he's either got 1 or 2 options and then he's going to run. So that's what we like to see, at least from my point of view. So Justin Fields is a guy to me that he can definitely outbeat where he is going in drafts, specifically so late. And everyone, just like Big Travie said, they all want that IV, baby. They want that upside. So to me, if I am grabbing a tight end or a quarterback late, one of these later round guys that I still think will be solid running or solid quarterbacks, Justin Fields, I'm also adding on there because the uptick for him is just so great, and the ability to be able to trade either one of those other quarterbacks during the season or Justin Fields because people will be that enamored with Justin Fields. You heard it here first. That was bold take number 1. My bold take number 2. Numero dos. Cortland Sutton finishes as a top 3 wide receiver in 2022. He's going right now as a wide receiver 18 off the board. It might not be a super bold take to some people. I was this close. If it wasn't for me having Justin Jefferson, like I said, I didn't want to just throw out 5 bold takes that just don't stick and they're just here to talk on a live stream. I didn't want to throw out these takes that I truly don't believe are true. So that's why I put top 3. I do think Cortland Sutton range of outcomes is that number 1 overall wide receiver 1. Why do I think that? Well, I think that there are some similarities that we've seen over the last couple of years. Wide receiver 1 or top 5 wide receiver, there have been these guys in the last couple of years in that round 4, round 5 area. Stephon Diggs a couple of years ago. We had Cooper Kupp last year, where these guys that we know that the upside and the athleticism, the talent, the scheme around them is all checked off, right? All those boxes are checked off, but they're missing one thing. For Cortland Sutton, he's never finished higher than a wide receiver 27, 25. So, and he's coming off a bad season, but he's never had a quarterback like Russell Wilson throwing the ball. Russell Wilson will put it in All right, I'm back. Okay, I'm back. Hang with me. All right, all right, all right. There we go. I'm back. I made the stream back. Okay, so for me, I love the fact that Jerry Judy is kind of weighing down Cortland Sutton because some people still believe in Jerry Judy. Now, can Jerry Judy be a top 24 wide receiver? I do think that there is that potential for sure. But again, these are the things that you kind of like to see. You like to see these wide receivers where people aren't entirely sure what the range of outcome is or which guy it's going to be, Jerry Judy or Sutton. And so it's keeping their ADPs similar, right? This is what we saw with Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen when they were with the Vikings, right? We saw that with Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp last year. We see these tandems that end up getting real close together because people can't really peg down which one that they would rather have. So it keeps their ADP close. Well, to me, I'm telling you, my guy that I'm pegging is Cortland Sutton. He reminds me a lot of DK, not from a physical standpoint. He's not as athletic, but he can certainly go up and get it. He is a very good wide receiver. And I think pairing him with Russell Wilson, it is going to be dynamite. Not even mentioning the division that he plays in right now is a division that is going to throw the ball a lot. They're going to put up a lot of points. So I want some players from some of these teams. And Cortland Sutton, to me, like I said, with the new quarterback upgrade, has the range of outcomes to be that number one overall wide receiver. I don't want to go that far because I have Justin Jefferson as my number one wide receiver, and I don't want to confuse people. I still think that Justin Jefferson finished as a wide receiver one overall, but I think if you target Sutton later in your drafts, you are going to be on fire to start off this season, and I think you will be very happy that you went with Sutton over Jerry Judy this year. All right, my next bold take here for this 5 bold take topics. This is bold take number 3. And that is that A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones both will finish as top 12 running backs this year. A.J. Dillon is a guy that I am picking every chance that I can. A.J. Dillon, to me, is a guy that if you are a zero RB truther, target A.J. Dillon. If you are a superhero running back type of player or drafter, target A.J. Dillon in that 5th round turn into the 6th round. Sometimes I've seen him fall to that far. I think Aaron Jones, people are majorly sleeping on him. He played very, very well down the stretch when they started to actually give him the workload, and they were transitioning over to him carrying more of the bulk of the carries, and he should get that goal line work. There are a lot of reports that both A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones have been on the field at the same time, and I think that is what's going to happen with their lack of pass catching options and the fact that Aaron Rodgers loves to go to people that he can trust. He can trust Aaron Jones as far as pass catching, and I think that they will run the rock more than they have in recent years with A.J. Dillon and really show why they drafted him so high and why he's so coveted. I love taking him in that 2nd round, especially if I'm in a PPR league. I think that 6 rounds, every single, that's money in the bank for PPR leagues. Really solid, like that division. You're not scared as far as the run front. That counts for games right there. So I really do I appreciate you, Whisper Nation. A struggle for real, but hang with me. I'm almost through these last few that I have. Number 4, tight end that you want. Big Mo going gets Matt Ryan there. And they've already had injuries to that tight end position. We know that offense does use the tight end position already. And then now you get a quarterback. Do I think he's going to have 1,000 yards? No, probably end up with around 600 to 700 receivers. He'll probably have about 6 to 7 touchdowns. Ebron was in the same off Philip Rivers, and they used him quite often. And Eric Ebron actually was one of the top tight ends that year. Didn't finish as number 1, but he did have several weeks where he was the number 1 overall tight end and put up big numbers. I think you're going to see the exact same thing from Mo Alley, and he's a big target. Matt Ryan loves to go to tight end, and you've got everyone so concerned. And Jonathan Taylor, offense that are real values are being overlooked, and I think that those players are Mo Alley Cox, my other guy Paris Campbell, which I almost put Paris Campbell as my bold take number 5. I didn't. I went a different route because I've been screaming about Paris Campbell this whole offseason, but Paris Campbell to me has a real possibility to be a top 15 wide receiver this year for the Indianapolis Colts with Matt Ryan. His metrics are all there. So I think people are overlooking Paris Campbell. I think people are overlooking Mo Alley Cox. And I think that people are also a little bit Raheem Hines. All 3 of those players are players that I like going with for the Colts. And that's why I end up passing on Michael Pittman, which could end up biting me in the ass a little bit. But I end up passing on Michael Pittman more oftentimes than not because I like getting those other stashes a little bit more than I like going after Michael Pittman. All right, my last bold take for this show before I close it out here is stuck with us during this stream because it is a little bit of a struggle. So I appreciate you. My last bit of bold will be the running back that you want in Kansas City, and it won't even be close. I think he will also win people championships when his do you think you should? I don't. I don't think that you should go out and take Isaiah Pacheco in the 6th round. I think it's going to take about the starting consistently, right? He will take CEH. Just believe come as a guy that don't usually always have to draft him because I don't think he's work. All right, I'm back. This is crazy. Sorry about this, Whispering. Struggle is real today. The internet struggle is real. Okay, so I was saying that Isaiah Pacheco will come around week 5, week 6. I think he does end up taking fully over CH because CH not good at short yardage, not really great at burst. He's okay at pass catch. I think Isaiah Pacheco ends up being the guy that they end up rolling with more oftentimes than any top 50 running back. We outcome that secondary or part of the season, right? So does this mean again that you have to go out and draft Isaiah Pacheco? No, it doesn't. If you don't have a chance to get Isaiah Pacheco, be patient. The most likely will end up dropping him for that. And then, if you do end up getting a little too impatient and like the player isn't being dropped, charge trade for it won't be, but I think it will be worth it come the second part of the season. So again, where do I feel coming Isaiah Pacheco? Honestly, it depends. And if you are eyeing Isaiah Pacheco, then make sure when you're building you're drafting your team, make sure you keep that in mind. So you're taking more sure things up front, especially at the running back position, that you can at least get through 6 weeks. Because I think it's going to take about that long for Isaiah Pacheco to really get involved in this offense. Again, with that in mind, round 10, 11 is probably where I'd start looking at him. Any earlier than that, and you're really having to bank on this bold take, and I don't want you to have to bank on these bold takes for it in order to have the outcome that you want. So for me, he is definitely a guy that I'm targeting later that I truly do think has that upside. But I also recognize that Isaiah Pacheco is probably going to be a guy that other people are really hyped on right now, and they might overdraft. And then they'll probably end up drafting it or dropping him 1 or 2 weeks into the season because they need to, fill that spot. Pacheco's probably not going to see more than 6 touches in a game early on in the season. I just think that because he's a rookie, there's a lot that goes and is involved in that. And once again, I think that they are trying to give CH every opportunity possible. I just don't think he's good enough to seize that opportunity. And that's what it comes down for me for this bold take. So once again, my 5 bold takes for this show. If you missed them as I was cutting in and out from the internet, I appreciate you sticking around, Whisper Nation. But here they are. Justin Fields will be the late round quarterback that you want this year, not Trey Lance. So don't draft Trey Lance. Skip over him. If you want that upside, go with Justin Fields. Cortland Sutton will finish as a top 3 wide receiver in 2022. I think even wide receiver 1 is not a crazy bold take. I think that is definitely in the range of his outcomes. A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones will finish as top 12 running backs this year. Mo Alley-Cox will be this year's late round tight end that you want that finishes top 7 at the end of the year. And then Isaiah Pacheco will be the running back that you want in Kansas City. Those are my 5 bold takes for this show. I once again appreciate all of you guys for sticking with me. Whisper Nation, you hung in there. All the chat still bumping. Appreciate you all sticking with me through the internet drops here. A couple of honorable mentions that I did want to shout out because the boys aren't here. They sent me a couple along. So they said no Giant will finish All right. The internet is just being too wild on me. I am going to end the stream before I cause any more mischief or mayhem here. But Whisper Nation, appreciate you so much. Oh, whoops. There we go. Appreciate you so much for joining this live stream. Sorry it was a little bit hectic. If you made it through and want to still subscribe, Godspeed to you. I appreciate you so much. Hope that you all have great drafts if you're drafting this weekend. Hope that they are awesome. Feel free to DM us. Join the Discord. Link is in the description below. If you have any questions about fantasy football, who you should draft, all of that stuff, Whisper Nation is great in there. We will add our 2 cents in there as well. So make sure you're doing that, and let's have a great year. We will be back on Monday. No Saturday best ball. We do have our League of Record draft on this Saturday, so there will be no best ball brunch this Saturday, but we will be back on Monday starting our season show. So Monday we will be back, and we'll see you then, Whisper Nation. So have a great weekend. Be safe drafting. No drunk drafting. All right. Just remember that. And we'll see you on the other side, Whisper Nation. Take it easy for your boy, Johnny Game Time Hicks, here with the Fantasy Whispers, struggling through this stream. We appreciate you so much. All right. Have a good weekend, Whisper Nation. Peace.
Right here.
Hey, do you like mock drafts? We do too. You can come back every Monday and mock with us. Check out one of these videos and make sure you're like